Hello, this video is going to be showcasing how to build a scene like this using Voxel Plugin Pro, Oceanology version 5.04, and some of the techniques that you can build this scene from scratch. If we hit play, you'll notice we've got a character in here. They can interact with the world. They're able to see the pirate ship, see the cool little tunnel that we've bored through the earth. You can see that there's a static mesh rock formation that we can kind of interact with here. We can bury up with sand. There's an NPC just hanging out on top of it. So you can see we're interacting with voxels. We got static stuff. This is beginning to shape up to be a little bit more game-like. And more importantly, we've got the Oceanology plugin working here. And you'll notice it's got the very pretty lighting on the ground here. The caustics and the lens flares and the god rays and the fog and stuff. So, all right, let's get started. I just wanted to showcase kind of why I made this video. The map that I'd been using up until this point was this one. Very simple. Just it was a flat voxel terrain, nothing interesting going on. I hand created this just using the voxel tool, the editor mode. I just went to voxels here and just bloop, made some stuff, and then carved it out, right? Nothing too crazy. So, but this was all handmade. There's nothing too crazy in it. People were asking, like, how did you do that? Showcase some of this stuff. So I figured I would just build it from scratch real quick. It'll probably take 10 minutes to build the scene that we had seen previously, if you have all these plugins enabled. So, all right, let's start at the beginning. I just wanted to highlight the version of the Oceanology plugin that I'm using. Oceanology version 5, version 5.04. The creators of it have been working pretty hard to address any issues that people have because this is a new major version. Really appreciate all the work that they've been doing. Looks great now. So in fact, the issue that we saw with our previous video, whoops, was not that I was falling through the world. I think I changed the terrain enough to where the character fell through. But the issue that they found, or that they fixed before, was when we were running up this incline, it had kind of like a brief window where the textures didn't blend correctly, and so now they've addressed this issue. So thank you again. All right, start with the basics. First thing we need is our level, and I'm actually going to start with the voxel multiplayer map. Since I'm doing multiplayer and I'm using a dedicated server, I started with the multiplayer TCP map. This map includes all of the things you need to do to kind of replicate things between your client and server and stuff right out of the box, which is, and it's only available via the Voxel Plugin Pro. You can handle your own replication and other stuff, but that in the free version, but this comes with the Pro. So if we take a look here and start our map, we can just drag this in and make a copy of it here. And so you can see I've made a bunch of these while I was trying to do some various testing. But this is our brand new one. And you can see when you start with the map, this is just kind of a flat terrain. And if we hit play, our character happens to be able to run around on the ground. We actually, in our previous videos, modified the base female character from the character customizer plugin and did a couple key things that I'm just going to show here. We added a voxel invoker to it. This is what allows your character to know about the voxel world and interact with it. Without this, your character might fall through the ground. So if the character's falling through the ground, add a voxel invoker. We also copied in the mouse input and the keyboard input from the TCP voxel multiplayer into here from that blueprint. And last but not least, we actually went and this is also key for you to do. We had to go down all the way to the base class that we were using and make sure that the parent class for it was the voxel character. So you basically make your character, the parent class, a voxel character. It adds all this stuff into it. And then you add in a voxel invoker, and then your character is able to interact with the voxel world. So that's where we are at this point. Simple character with that stuff added in and a flat voxel. All right, so let's start with the first part. I'm actually going to just group these into some folders here. So we're going to make a sky folder, take in all our lighting and sky stuff. And I'll show why in a second, in a little bit. And then we're going to make a world folder for our world. This will just make things easier when we're busy adding assets and doing stuff. Okay, so let's just hit play again, make sure that we're able to do stuff. All right, awesome. Cool, so first things first, let's make our voxel terrain not so bland. So if we go to the Voxel World Editor multiplayer TCP, let's do a couple things. Let's make a save object here. I'm just going to pick one that I used previously, so new world save. We're going to create a new one, and we're just going to call it 5. Whoops. Object number 5 to match the name of our game. This will keep your voxel terrain saved between loads. Without it, it'll just kind of erase it every time, so you can't persist it. But then we'll change the voxel generator from the flat one, which is the one we're using here, to use the multi-index generator. And this gives you, kind of a really cool world that's got some hills and valleys and shows some different textures. And we're actually going to change it from a single index, which is just kind of, it looks like it's using a slope based. So if it's the angle's high enough, it turns into rock. And if it's a little bit more flattened out, it probably does grass type texture. We're going to change that from a single index down to multi-index. And again, you can see this is kind of like biome-esque, where it's just got a very simple function using it right now. Or if it's lower, it looks like it's using some darker rock. If it's a little bit higher, it uses some lighter sand type or beach type texture. And when you get higher, it uses some mountains. So this is just a quick, simple proxy for like, simple biome type things, right? Again, real quick, nothing too crazy. And so if we hit play here, again, you can see our character is able to run around and interact with the voxel-based terrain. And let's just play with the terrain here. And again, this is the Voxel plugin tool. Let's just kind of burrow into the ground here. Let's kind of burrow into the ground a little bit. Where am I? And and then maybe go back up through the ground back to where we can see sky. All right, cool. So we've created ourselves like a little cave here. Nothing too crazy, but oops. All right. So got ourselves a little cave. Again, if we would like to persist that change, we go into the voxel mode. You get a new mode once you add in the voxel plugin here. And we can then use the tool to kind of burrow through. And then we'll just come back up. This gives us just like a nice little, cave-based terrain that we've created here. Right? All right. So now we've got the terrain created, we're just going to add in our Oceanology, our Oceanology ocean. So under the Oceanology plugin, you've got some stuff, but the main one is the blueprint Oceanology stable, and it's the Oceanology Gen 5 plugin. So we're just going to drop that in and see where that takes us. So here you can see we've got our ocean here. Let's actually take this out and raise it up a bit. There we go. So it'll give us kind of like a little underwater cave, so you can see how it's interacting under here. So we've got our little underwater scene, and one of the first things you'll notice is missing the caustics, right? It's like, you promised us the lighting, and I'm like, Okay, cool. Yep. So right here we've got the default lighting that comes with the multiplayer map. We're actually just going to delete that. And you'll notice as soon as we do that, everything starts to look pretty bad because the lighting is not very good right out of the gate. We're going to make use of the one of the Oceanology maps actually to get the lighting from. So there's a maps, caustics, and god rays default map that comes with it, which I've kind of showcased previously. And it's got all these cool like water effects and like light streaming through the water. And we're actually just going to take that lighting configuration and go back to our map that we just created and drop this in here. And so we're on version 5, and if we then drop the lighting into ours, you'll notice that we get all the pretty nice fun things. We get the light rays coming through, we get the pretty caustics on the ground. And the reason I'm not using ultra dynamic sky and weather for this is there's something with the way that the directional light is configured in it that doesn't give me all the cool rays. And I'll figure it out at some point, but this one I just kind of wanted to showcase Oceanology a little bit more than the ultra dynamic stuff. So here we go. So let's make our underwater scene and add some extra stuff into it. First things first, let's actually go back to the Oceanology map. And we're going to take a couple components from here. We're going to take the just some rocks and the boat, and we're just gonna plop them into our map just so we get some more interesting terrain under the water. And just pop those down. We'll just take the boat here. How far away? Okay, it's not too far away. But let's kind of probably should get better at manipulating these things, but I think that might be getting it out into where we can actually see it. Maybe I put it a little too far. Yeah, I did. Okay. So we'll just take it here and we'll just kind of maybe rotate it a little bit so it's kind of half sitting in the sand at the bottom. Yeah, there we go. So this sunken ship, it's kind of sitting into the sand. And if we just hit play, you can see our characters here, and we're able to, go adventure and see our underwater ship. And you'll notice we can run on up to it and take a look. So looks pretty good actually. And this, I think, isn't, it doesn't have physics enabled on it, so we can just kind of run through it for the time being. But you could very easily see how you can drop in your own assets and make use of them here. I think I probably just clipped through the boat actually, which is probably a bad thing. All right, and so the second one we had was the rocks, and so this is actually a static mesh, and this will behave a little bit better and allow us to like run up on it and jump on it and collide with it and stuff. So let's bring our rocks back over here. Okay, sometimes it's tough to tell where in the world these things are in the 3D space, but we can take our rock and let's just kind of move it over, drop it over near the ship, and just plop it right on down here. And so now if we drop in on our map, you can see this is actually fully collidable. We're not falling through it. We're not clipping through it. All the lighting effects are on it. Looks really pretty good. And so this actually, is a static asset in our scene. So cool. We've got a couple different things in here. Then now that we have that, let's actually drop in a player spawn, because I'm just spawning wherever the camera is. So when we start and connect to our game, we actually want to start at a specific spot. Let's just have it start here. test it out. And so yeah, we're able to spawn here. And then let's add a like an NPC character to our scene. Let's just pop her right on top of the rock here so that she's hanging out. So she's hanging out and just chilling. Now when we hit play, we're in the scene, we've got underwater scene with our NPC here. I think I didn't have her far enough back. So we can just drop her right on down here. That looks a little better. So now we're underwater. We've got our NPC just hanging out on top of the rocks. There you go. Again, this was a nice quick tutorial on how to make all of these tools work together. You can see we've got static assets, we've got the Oceanology version 5.05 plugin, we've got caustics, we've got underwater components, and I think we've got our voxel terrain up here that we had saved. Yeah, our cave's a little bit further up than what I showed at the beginning, but you can see the water effects interacting with like full voxel terrain. Looks really, really good. So again, feel free to ask questions, leave comments. I try to showcase stuff that people are interested in seeing. And I figured it would be pretty nice to just show how I made one of these scenes from the ground up using the plugin components, just to get someone quick started to be like, all right, cool, drop in a voxel world, put in some assets, put in an Oceanology plugin, add some lighting, and then we're off to the races. Really appreciate everyone watching and commenting and giving me ideas on what you want to see next. I think the next video I'm going to try to get use the voxel graph capabilities of Voxel Plugin Pro to generate more of a biome thing, and I want to get the swimming animation plugged into this because the Oceanology plugin has swimming and buoyancy as part of their newer version. All right. Hope everyone enjoys the rest of your day, and I really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day to check out what I'm tossing. All right. Bye-bye.